Frickin' Lewis snip. Never updates. All right. Good morning, MS. How we doing? So I got this working over the weekend. I'm not super happy with where it's at. I got hit with some like rate limiting stuff, and there's a couple other problems I want to solve for. And now that like I've hit the edge cases and kind of have a full picture of everything, we're gonna go back through and clean this up. I just have to think about how I want it to work. I ended up making like this queue for batching YNAB transactions because they have a bulk create and bulk update endpoint, and I ended up writing these to this queue, and then at the end of the sync taking them, and I was dipping them up into create, update, and delete, and then batching them. But then I got myself in a situation of deadlocking, and had to walk back some stuff. So I want to think about the right way to do this, and looking forward to it. I wrote a little something over the weekend with Effect to sync my investment balance with YNAB dollars. Nice, dude, that's sick. The most fun I've had writing TypeScript in a while. I'm going to screenshot that. Actually, we'll do this. We'll get the whole image. And we'll grab that, and we're gonna copy that, and we're gonna go yeet this out into the void. Effect makes TypeScript fun again. Boom. All right, I kind of want to start maybe an Excalibur. This is probably gonna be a white background. It's not great. So we have a couple different ways we could do this. Like, part of me is thinking that I have like a the heck? Part of me wants to have like a queue running. We could also leverage how could we do this? I almost want to step back because right now the flow of things is, if we look at this, let's just go to like the sync, or we'll go to initial sync because this is probably the best example. The way this flows is we check for, we do some logic, maybe initial sync's not the best one, but regardless, we do some logic to determine if where we need to start syncing from, and we drive it off of notifications, which seems like a good idea. But maybe that's not. Maybe we should revisit if that's a good idea or not. What up, Fox? Because if we look at can I parameterize this over a group ID? I can. The nice thing about driving it off notifications is we very clearly get a image into whether it's a expense or whether it's a deleted. Like, we can see if it's added, updated, or deleted very easily. And I don't think that's necessarily true. Because in here we should end up seeing deleted for some of these. Let's see here. Yeah, here we have deleted at. They're mutable. And I don't know if this ends up. Actually, we can figure this out. No, I think we should still drive based on notifications. Notifications still seems like a good way to do this. All right. So when we get notifications, we get like here. This type, it tells us like type 0 is expense added. Right? So we can drive a lot based on these types. And there's not an easy way to do a reverse lookup, so expense to notification. Updated after must push this. This might be okay. Depending on how the semantics. Wait, the stream's in 720? Okay, cool. I was gonna say, I didn't change anything on my side. So what happens if I go and we go here and then we go to Splitwise, turn that on. Like what happens if I update this to be $21? And we now, does that push that to the top? It doesn't. What is the sort order here? If we go down and look at 21, where's the coffee? Beers. Gas bill. Dining out. There it is. Updated after. I'm using ARC. So it doesn't order, it's still got to be ordered by date, I'm guessing. Purcell Pro, where's that coffee expense? Coffee. Yeah, it's probably being ordered by this date. One of these two dates. But we can come in here and do updated after, and we can do like if I grab this and we'll just net this out to the start of today, and this will be 0 0 0 0 0 0. I get one transaction, right? Yeah, and that's the one I updated. Maybe that's the way to do it. Maybe we're overcomplicating things with notifications. So what does that flow look like, right? This is Yak. It's a really, really good REST editor, yak.app. Highly recommend. Oops. All right, maybe we do try. So what does the flow look like if we sync, if we try to sync without using notifications? So let's just ignore, we have all the building pieces to rebuild this, right? So we fetch, we need to, one, determine the last sync date start time. We need the start time because it's plausible that a expense could be added while sync's running. Determine the last sync date time or use override via options. Fetch splitwise expenses with updated after equal to the previous sync time. And then here, for each splitwise expense, we'll tab in. We need to check if there is an existing synced transaction. This eliminates a whole category of bugs too, now that I think about it. When we were doing it by notifications, we couldn't parallelize very easily, or we couldn't run expenses concurrently very easy because multiple notifications could be operating over the same expense. So you could have a situation where you have a notification for a expense deleted, a expense updated, and an expense added chronologically in that order. I guess to say that's most recent to latest. And if you try to process those concurrently, you could get in a world where you're processing the expense deleted prior to processing the expense added in a sync, and you get into weird grace conditions. So what I ended up having to do over the weekend is pre-processing the notifications and grouping them together by expense ID, and then I started to add concurrency where I was processing notifications grouped by expense ID concurrently. But then I got into the world where I was hitting YNAB rate limits because I was trying to sync a bunch of my history with Synkwise, and I was doing one at a time, and there's a batch endpoint. So that's another thing I want to solve for, is batching YNAB transactions. Check if there is an existing transaction. Then we'll say two. If there, well, actually we can just do this. Change to I. If there's an existing sync transaction. We'll drop into here and we'll say determine if the expense is deleted, is updated, or deleted. In fact, we can just walk this back. If the expense is deleted, we'll say we maintain 3 pieces of state. The state we have, no, the hell is that? DB state. We might have to change this up. We have a synced transaction, which is we'll say it's like the glue record. For a splitwise expense and a YNAB transaction. That is created when a splitwise expense is processed. We keep a local record of YNAB splitwise expenses. Local copy of processed expenses. We have the YNAB transaction. And we should say, when do we create the YNAB transaction? That's the thing we need to work on this part because we need to be able to batch this. We also, I think we need the concept of a sync, which is a record of a sync run. I don't think we need Splitwise notification. I think we can delete that. If the expense is deleted, soft delete we'll say I almost want to build like a running ledger, like a state machine. Is Spotify broken? Oh no, it looks like it was working earlier. Okay. The expense is deleted. Well, we know we need to soft delete splitwise expense. We need to soft delete. Now we'll wait to do that. Soft delete synced transaction. In fact, we should do the sync transaction. No. Soft delete the splitwise expense. 3 soft delete. Let's change these to entities. Just in, that's my little notification that I'm talking about my stored version. Delete, entity, soft delete, sync transaction entity, soft delete, YNAB. We shouldn't soft delete. Does YNAB have a endpoint for bulk deleting? That's what we should figure out here. Let's say I just need to drop into this function quick. Let's see here. Client dot transactions dot delete transaction. Does this only take an ID? Okay, we can only delete one transaction at a time. So that simplifies the delete flow. I'm debating if we want to update. We should never make an update to the Splitwise. Or we should never make updates to the YNAB transaction entity copy that we have locally until we've actually done it on YNAB. So we'll delete I wonder if we could just submit a job. I still kind of like this idea of queuing. I like this idea of queuing YNAB transactions. That way we can control the rate limit globally and we can batch easier. All right, this is the second person who's complained about a 720p stream. I don't think I changed anything. Although we've had people 1440p, yeah. See? I'm streaming at 2560 1440. So we'll say we're gonna queue YNAB transaction for deletion. And then I think we always want to return a synced transaction entity. Return, actually, I don't know if we want to return that. Sync entity, we'll have a sync action. This way we can start doing things asynchronous. So let's say sync action. A record of a action taken of an event, sync event. Sync event sounds better. A record of an action taken during a sync run. because we're going to return out I think we're going to return out a sync ID and let this process asynchronously, because in the case where like right now, Justin and I have like a bunch of transactions we want to sync for ours, and I need to sync them to both budgets or both accounts for us when we run, but we're hitting rate limits. So I need to be able to process like 100 transactions at a time and just like pause and sleep and let rate limits cool down and then continue. So a sync, we're gonna move from a sync being a like a full sync being in a request response cycle to it being async. So we're gonna call sync, it's gonna return us a sync ID, and then we can use that sync ID to check the status of the sync and then eventually get a report back. And if we keep this running ledger of things that happened, if we fail, we can pick back up using that ledger. It's almost like we're making a distributed state machine. Yeah, I like this idea. So we'll say soft delete. So this will actually be to all right, I've got an idea. I think we might start cooking here. Let's take this and we're just gonna say v2 plan.ts. Write that in there. Let's make this bigger. We're gonna come over here and then we're gonna go to v2 and sync. So we know off the bat we're going to return a we want to return a sync ID. So let's just say we have a type sync ID. We're just gonna alias this to a string for now. Interface sync ID extends string. Can we do that? Damn. Whatever. We'll alias it as a string for now. Eventually we'll brand this to do brand. So off the bat, I know I want to return an effect. That is an effect, and we're gonna return a sync ID. Well, let's not mark this. We're gonna let this infer the errors as we go along here. So let's get into a effect context. Gen function star boom boom. And we know this is going to take a budget sync account ID. So let's put this in here, budget sync account ID. This will be a string. In fact, we can alias that too. Budget sync account ID. What up, Neil? I'll take a budget sync account ID, and then we need sync options. So we'll do options, and we'll make this optional. So let's say we have a let's see here. We'll have a type budget sync options, and this will be a read-only record. Read only, and this is going to have this will have updated after, which will be a optional date on there. So we'll say that's a date, and then we'll have expected net balance, also optional, which will be let's go fix our currency file quick. Actually, we don't have to fix it. Let's import it. Import star as currency. Oh, did you ask a question about a gaming PC? Zen, feel free to ask. Yeah, I'll try. I try to answer all questions. I miss a lot though. Yeah, I did watch the Imola race. I pretty much watch every race. I don't think I've missed an F1 race for like 4 or 5 years now. This will be currency dot milliunits. All right, we can say this is going to come in as dollars. And then we'll grab budget sync options. All right, so step 1 is determining if we need a function. So let's say get. We might have this already too. Let me check this. This might be in our budget, our original sync. Yeah, we'll want to copy this right here. So in here, let's throw that there. Got some dad rock going on right now. All right, so we have our budget sync account. We have our error mapped. And then we need to get the last sync date. So let's come down here. We're gonna write this function. This is gonna be get most recent sync date. This will need a budget sync account ID. For account, I guess. I don't need to make it that wordy. This will be our budget sync account ID. We'll come in here. This will return in effect gen. And we should start making sure this is all traced, right? Effect.withSpan. And we'll say sync dot, we can really say budget sync dot get most recent sync date. Yeah, I asked some months ago, but just say you're so hooked with this that there's no point in asking, right? I started to spec out a PC a couple weeks ago when Oblivion came out. I was gonna build a PC for my birthday, and I gave my old gaming PC to Justine to use and play games with. And I was gonna build a new one for my birthday this year, which was in February. But I was so busy with work and conference speaking and freelance and everything in between that like I just didn't have the time to think about building a PC. Then Oblivion came out, and like that game is my childhood. Like I have more hours into Oblivion than almost probably every other game combined. And I was like, all right, it's time to build a PC. And I went and I spec'd out like a PC, and like I'm very fortunate to make good money. So like I wanted to build um, obviously a PC that's going to last me quite a few years. I wanted a PC that I can play, basically I wanted to spec it out as good as I could. And then like I knew graphics cards were expensive right now because of AI and stuff, but I didn't realize like how ridiculously expensive they've gotten. So like it ended up coming down to like to build the kind of PC I wanted to build. You're talking that I was going to have to drop anywhere from like $2,600 to $3,800 on a graphics card. Like put the rest of the build aside, and it's just like that is insane. So then I ended up just like sitting and thinking on it because like I was adamant that I wanted to play Oblivion, right? Because that game is just like my childhood. Um, so then what I ended up doing is I bought uh, an Xbox Series X, which can play games in 4K at 120 frames per second, and I got that before Microsoft upped the prices like a week or two ago. So I got it for like I don't know, right around $400. And then at the same time, I upgraded my TV that I've had for like 10 years basically. I went from a 55 4K to a brand new 65-inch 4K, and now I'm playing Oblivion in 4K at a steady 120 frames per second, and I spent less than $1,500, and I'm getting just as good of an experience. Um, so it just wasn't worth the money to build a PC right now for me for what I want out of it. So that's my build a PC story for the moment. Xbox Series X with a nice TV was my happy ground. So let's come in here and we're going to add our tracing. This will have attributes. And we'll say this is going to have our budget sync account, budget sync dot account dot ID, and we'll add budget sync account ID. And in here, we want to get our DB client. So let's jump up here and yoink that. Whoops. One thing I want to focus on as we do this is breaking this down into small composable pieces because I just let it get out of control last time. Xbox Series X can. DB. We need a okay, we need a new concept here. We need to go in here and we need to so let's just mark here. This will be create sync record. So let's go create that entity. That's going to be a new entity we need. We'll come in here and we're going to have a just a sync, I guess. Come in here and let's make that sync transaction. We'll copy this one, throw that in there, and we can work off of this. And this is going to be a sync entity. And this will be a sync. It needs a updated at, deleted at. We should never, we'll need a completed at. Completed at. And we can derive completed at, we can do the status. Let's throw a status on here. And this is going to be a custom type here. And we'll say this is going to be in progress. Or it'll be a error, or it'll be completed. Right, something like this. Find, this is string. And this is going to be, required is going to be true. I'll say default is going to be sync entity. Do we want to move this to we'll give it another one too. We'll say new. Or we'll say created. Or pending. Status is pending. Or we'll say ready. Ready. Pending, in progress, error.
World.
Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable. And we'll say the default is going to be ready. This might have to be a thunk. My switches are, I believe, chalk whites. Yeah, chalk whites. All right, so we have this sync entity. And down here, we'll want we'll have a by budget sync account, budget sync account, query by budget sync account ID. And then we also want to be able to query by probably by status is the next most important one. By status. So our GSI1 will be actually, let me think about how this is going to work. We might not need by status if we make that part of our composite key or our sort key. Let's think about that access pattern. Let's come in here, we'll say status, and then this is going to be created at ISO 8601. Yeah. I almost want to make we'll probably want budget sync account ID to be part of the sort key here. So this pattern gives us, we can grab all the completed, that's going to go into a single partition. Is that what we really want? We don't want that. We don't want that. That's a bad index, actually, now that I think about this. Budget sync, we probably want status here. And then we probably want created at, there we go. This will at least give us what we need. We don't need indexes for now. So even know what graphics cards you can get, this NVIDIA 5K series AI generation of extra features, things like that, raw power of the extra cards, not so much. Yeah, that's why I went with the Xbox, dude. Dude, Diana called me too, Davey. That's so crazy. I don't think we paid the water bill, Davey. They're probably gonna shut the borough's probably gonna shut the water off on us. We'll just drill a well, buddy. It's gonna be okay. We actually probably want not a created at. We probably want a completed at. This is gonna be completed at. And this is gonna look at completed at. Same with that, and that, and that. In fact, this should almost be. What is this access pattern? Let's think about this. Access pattern is we want to be able to easily get the most recent completed sync run for an account. So the partition will be the account itself. We could technically partition on account and status. No, I don't want to do that. We'll just partition on the budget sync account ID, and then status if we get completed. Yeah, okay. This should be completed at, yeah. That gives us the access pattern we care about. So I don't know what this thing is doing here. My tree sitter. My theme is everything I use. EffectTS is Cappuccino Macchiato. So we can make a schema for this by saying we got our nice little rip. Type of entity. So let's say const, or let's say type underscore equals entity item of type of entity, and this should give us a, yeah, now we can create a schema for that. Boom. What? Fine. Do that. And now we can say, we can refactor this to a schema. Boom. Look at that. Beautiful. I don't know why the syntax highlighting is so broken. VV2. That's more better. That was weird. Tree sitter just got confused, I suppose. Let's see here. This will be schema, just so we have that. And do we have the entity? Yeah, we'll do that. And now back in our sync v2, down here, we will say const underscore equals db dot, we'll want to namespace this. So yeah, we need to go make a, operation for using this, and we have to add this to our ElectroDB schema, or service, excuse me. So this will be a sync. Do we want to call that a sync record? Yeah, we should do that. Sync entity dot entity. And we'll go back to this and we'll rename this as sync record. Sync record. And we'll say this is going to be a sync record. And same down here. Actually, I think that's okay. We'll rename this to sync record. And in our, yes, or always. There we go. Great. Sync record is going to be sync record. All right. And let's add our CRUD operation for that. In here, we will say we'll add a new namespace to this interface, and we'll have sync record. And inside sync record, we'll have create record. In fact, we can just do this. We'll namespace that under sync. Create record, and this is going to take what does a record have? We just were looking at this. I think I want to stand. Get in the zone here. Once we get these couple new primitives in, we're gonna be cooking with fire here. So when we create a new record, it really just needs a budget sync account. Budget sync account ID, just a string, and it's going to return a effect.effect, and we'll return a sync record.entity.entity, and it can return a electrodb error. And now we'll go implement this. Come down here and we'll just say, in fact, we can probably copy this. It's probably the best one to copy here. Yoink that. Come up here, paste that in there. Thank you, Bishal. You have a great day as well. This will be create sync record. This will take a budget sync account ID, which is a string. This is going to return a sync record, entity.entity. Yeah, I get that this is upset. It's okay. Toggle diagnostics for a second. Whoa. And we'll come in here. This will be budget sync electrodb. This will be, we should start namespacing these. So we'll say sync, change to that. That will be create record. Sure, we can have an exponential back off, and this is going to be sync record.create. Let's actually go back up to that interface. All right, hold on here. Let's get, I need to fix some of these errors. So we'll get an effect.void in here, and let's go back up to our interface, and it's gonna be sync record or create record. Yeah, right there. Let's just implement this first. That's fine. What's wrong with around that? Close this up. We don't need that. All right, there we go. Cleaned up. And this will be sync record. And this is going to need on it a budget sync account ID, which we have. Sweet. Yeah, okay. We have that. There we go. Got that. And let's add our attributes here. Attributes for our span is going to be budget sync dot account dot ID, and that'll be our budget sync account ID. And then we will come on here and we'll have sync, and then we'll have create record. And this is going to take our create sync record. And that gets that. And then we go up to our interface again. We should probably move our errors out. In fact, that's a good idea. So let's just do errors.ts. Start cleaning up this file because it's getting a little chunky. Errors, paste that in there. And then we'll go add all our imports. Great, and now we can go back over here and we'll just add all of our missing imports. And finally, we're gonna update this interface to where we... What up, Afi? Oh, this thing imported stuff as types. Dumb. All right, that got us some space in here. Let's move these down to the bottom of the file. There we go. Now we have our interface right at the top. That's ready to go. Back over to V2. And here we can get our oh, we still need a... We need to be able to query for the most recent one. So back to our service. And we want to go to where we were. And we're going to write what is this function that we want? What's the tool you use to share code snippets again? It is ray.so. Beansmate, yes, 100%. Biome is worth it. Me and my buddy Elliot, who works on the SvelteKit team at Vercel, we migrated one of our giant mono repos. From ESLint to Biome. I should have wrote a blog post about this. Sometimes I'm funny, chat. Dude, why is it so hard to search tweets? basically our CI/CD times went from linting being a like a 7 to 9 minute process with ESLint to lint our entire repo to I think Biome lints our entire repo in like 13 seconds, and it's saving 14 hours of lint time every day after switching to Biome. So Biome is 100% worth it. And like surely our ESLint config wasn't perfect and there was room for optimizations, but like not that much. We spent time optimizing it. So it's well worth it. Biome is amazing. Vercel sponsors Biome. Like we contribute money to the team because of how impactful this project was. All right, so we need to get most recent sync record for account, I guess. And this is going to return an option now because it's possible that there won't be a existing run. And in here we'll do sync record and we'll do entities sync record dot, I think it's query dot by budget sync account ID, and this can have the budget sync account ID and yeah, that should give us a bunch. $20, $25, 5, 12, let's say 20, 25, 5, 1, and then we want 20, 25, 5, 19 dot sort. All right. So DynamoDB, you leverage lexicographical sorting very heavily. I wonder what tools I have available to me here with Electro. Why do I have multiple tabs open here? To query. It's possible this is going to have a lot of sorts here. Because if we sync every, I don't know, 5 minutes, yeah, so like Ah, nice. This is exactly what we wanted right here. We want to flip the... Where was that? What was the word that just used there? It was scan index forward. We want the opposite of that. To reverse the orders to false. Beautiful. I love DynamoDB. Well, the thing is, Vafi, we don't know. Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. Right. That's what I was working towards, is fetching one. I was just figuring out, like, because Dynamo sorts things lexicographically, if we had these three sync runs, they would be ordered this way. So when we fetch here, we would get all these records, and what we're going to do is we're going to set that Dynamo option to reverse, and that will give us the basically the most recent sync run, and then we can say limit to 1. So I think we can come in here and we can say, I think it was the params. I have to look at how that was set. Is this order? Yeah. And we want order to be ascending, right? Or is it descending? We want descending. What up, Maxwell? Yo, Maxwell. Do you have any good examples of using batched resolvers? I got myself into like a headache of, I'm pretty sure, deadlocks using batching and batched resolvers this weekend. And there's like, I couldn't find a lot of code examples of how to use it right. I put some stuff together, just scanning Discord and using grep.app, but I still could use a little bit more clarity on like the exact semantics of how that works. I think I can come in here and say limit 1. All right, that's what we should want. Why is that coming out as any? Let's take this, do that, put that in, and we'll delete to the equal arrow. Good morning, Winnie. Good morning, Justine.
Functions describe the world.
Where are we losing?
There you go, good boy.
This is weird. I'm like not getting my autocomplete. So I just don't understand how or when. There's not enough documentation for me to easily understand when the request actually fires. That's what I don't understand. Like the semantics around, like, here, let me pull up the docs quick. I don't need a new window. If we go to effect website /docs and we go to batching, there's some things in here that just aren't explained super well yet. Like there's this this right here. It's crucial for the request to be modeled in a way that allows them to be comparable. This means implementing comparability using method like equals equals. Like, do you have to implement this? How do you implement this? Like, if I use a schema, is it okay? Like, I don't understand when and how. Like, I don't understand how request comparability works, when it works, how it works, why it needs to work that way. So that's confusing. Let's see here, what else? I think these examples should be refactored to not use pipes. I think we should use gen for this. Piping just makes it harder to realize what's going on here. Wasn't it a long ad break? Okay, let me step back. I'll restart. All right, so things I would like to see clarity on in these docs is right here, this bit, there's like this warning, ensuring request comparability. It's crucial for requests to be modeled in a way that allows them to be comparable. This means implementing comparability using methods like equals equals to identify and batch identical requests effectively. This isn't talked about anywhere else in the rest of the doc, and like I don't know what this means. Like, do I actually have to implement equals equals? If I use effect schema, am I safe? Like, what does this mean? When do things get paired or compared? Why? Like the semantics of this, just I have no idea, and I feel like I can't make good decisions because of it. The next thing is I don't understand. I think I'm starting to understand based on like skimming Discord threads when the batched resolvers actually fire. The other thing I said that during the ad break is that you guys should refactor these examples to not use pipe and to use effect.gen instead. Like this is just like a block. Like this is so noisy where like the important things to pick out are like right here and right here, right? And like there's just so much noise in here to pick out the valuable things. And like I don't think this is a super good or real example because it's using the index and then non-knowledge coalescing. I think that these examples could be better. I just don't understand when it fires. Uh, like I'm pretty sure I was getting myself into situations where I was deadlocking because I was doing this wrong. I just think these docs need to be better. Because right now, like, I don't trust myself enough and I don't have enough information based on this to even try to leverage batching in a production application. I ended up writing a batching by using a queue and doing it myself and flushing it with a scope. So that's my feedback on batching and requests. I would love to use this feature. It just doesn't. I don't have enough trust in what I'm doing or understanding of how it works to do it. And I want to because batching is really important for a bunch of the stuff I'm working on, both actually on stream and at work. So yeah, that's my feedback on batching. Do you guys have docs on the 4.0 semantics? I know Mike talked about it briefly in his talk, but yeah.
Functions
If I say .go, do I get that? I do. Maybe I can pass the params in here. Yeah, there it is. Desk. And we want limit 1. That will give us data. And we'll say if data.length. Well, we know we're only going to get 1. So let's say we'll return data.at 0, and this will be option.from nullable. Gotcha. What up, Colin? All right, so there's that. We have that. Let's go down here and we'll, what is it, 30 up, yank in Word, 30 back down. This will be get most recent sync record for account. I guess it would be by account ID rather than for account, by account ID. We can just do that. By account ID. Yeah. And then we can copy this. And then we'll go add that to our interface. Damn it. That's fine. In here, that function is, what would we call it? Is a function that also takes this and it's going to return a, basically this, but with an option. Yep, there we go. Back to V2. And here now we have this database and we can say, let's assign this to underscore. And this will be db.sync.getMost, yep, look at that. Whoa. This will be a record. That's going to be an option. So we'll say maybe record. Maybe sync record. And then we'll say if option dot is none, maybe sync record. What are we listening to, chat? Y'all are out of control. Return, we'll make a new error. Something like this. And we'll say it's going to be in here we'll say, we'll name this error previous sync sync record not found. And then we'll return yield star new sync record not found. Pass in our budget sync account ID. Yeah. Oh, we need to yield this. And then we'll return maybe sync record dot value. And this will get us oh, interesting. We're not quite there yet. Get most recent sync record. We also want to get most recent. This is gross, but it's fine. All right. So that basically gives us the information that that can determine, that basically tells us if it's an initial sync or not, right? If we don't find a completed sync record, that means we haven't run this before. All right, so back to here. This should come through as we can actually say this is going to be we can do some nice type work here, and we can come in here and we can say export interface completed, and we'll say this extends entity, and on here created at will be a date rather than undefined. And then we can go back to our DB in here, and this is going to return a completed. I would expect that to give me a type error. I don't love that. What is happening there that we get that type unsafety? Required true. I guess it will be completed at. Oh, I see what it's not created at, it's completed at. I'm stupid. Do you have any recommendations for letting TypeScript type generics? You just kind of gotta do it. You just kind of have to write a lot of TypeScript. I don't know how else to. I mean, Matt Pocock stuff is really, really good. Trash devs like TypeScript Hero or Type Hero course or platform that's free is really good. Yeah, I had that as we'll have type errors now. Yep, there it is. Const maybe record sync record data dot at 0 if option dot is none, maybe sync record return maybe sync record. Otherwise, if maybe sync record dot completed at is undefined, we want to say return yield star. We'll create a new error, and we'll call this sync record sync record invariant, I guess. And we'll say, we'll give this thing a message, I guess, and a budget sync ID. The message is going to be make this like a sync records status was completed, comma, but completed at was undefined. So sorry. We'll make that error in here. We can, there's probably, whatever. We'll just copy this guy, paste that, yank in Word, delete in Word, and we'll replace splitwise notification not found with this. This is going to take a message, which is going to be a schema.string, and we'll take a budget sync account ID, which will be a schema.string as well. We'll go back, import that, sync record invariant, and now this can also return a sync record invariant. And finally, we will return maybe sync record dot, yeah, like that. Oh, this needs to be option dot from nullable. And this needs to be option dot sum. All right, what did we do wrong here? That's an option value. Sync record entity completed. This should be, why is that not narrowing it? That should narrow it, right? We check completed at, and we return. Or no, this is still an option. We don't need to wrap that. This should be okay. See there, look at that. TypeScript's smart enough there. Yeah, EffectTS is my go-to TypeScript library. I don't know what you hear in the background. I think she might have been vacuuming. Well, we can do this the easy way, I guess. Man, this is super annoying. Export const completed schema equals schema dot struct, and we'll do a schema schema.fields, and we'll say status will be schema.literal. Completed. And we'll do completed at is going to be a schema.date. And then we can say export const decode completed unknown. Actually, let's see if we can get away with just decode completed. That would be schema dot decode, and we'll say completed schema. See if that gets us where we need to be. Sync record dot decode completed. What? Boom. New mods. You have no power here, Nightshade. Yeah, we still want to return none because this is technically still, it's the none variant of this type. So it's correct. Schema.literal. Hold up. Hold up, 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 hold up. It's spitting. It thinks it's not narrowed. I see. It's possible I skill issued myself, chat. And TypeScript was actually saving me. Syncs records was not completed. Was maybe sync record dot value. This shouldn't be possible at all, but to make the type system was expected was but all right, this just does some type narrowing. That should narrow the type. What is happening here, TypeScript? Maybe sync record dot value dot status. Like this should be narrowed to completed. It is narrowed to completed. Do you guys see this? Oh my god. What record? I should be able to we already failed. Is it the yield? If I go down here and I say return undefined, and I do the same thing here, is TypeScript just having issues narrowing? Still no. It's not even the generators. It's just not narrowing this, which is insane because watch, this is gonna be so stupid, chat. Can I spread this and this will work? This is gonna be maybe sync record dot value dot status, and then completed at, do the same thing. Maybe sync record dot value dot status. Budget sync account ID, that's fine. Created at, maybe sync record dot value dot created at, and then we need updated at, maybe sync record dot value dot updated at, string, oh right, completed at. Look at that. Tell me that's not so stupid. What is happening here? That's so weird. If I do record v2 and I say it's sync record dot completed and I just like, can I just assign it? Like that's an error now. What in the world? Is that a TypeScript bug? Do I need to as const this? I don't understand how that is. Bro, what in the world? This is weird, right? It's narrowed there. Type date is not compatible to type string. How is it thinking this is a string? Created at there it is. So if we do this now, can we change this to maybe sync record dot value? Still not. It's so stupid. It's so stupid, chat. I truly do not understand how that's narrowed, that's narrowed, that's narrowed, that's narrowed. Whatever. That's so weird. It's so weird. All right, what's this upset about now? Bro, what? I'm returning. This is the only place where I return. Oh, it needs to be an option. Right. Like, we don't even need to decode here. Honestly, about to rewrite it in Rust. Sync variant, option, option. What does it think this is returning right now? Oh my god. It's insane. It's actually insane.
Budget sync account ID is missing from parse error. Okay, like we don't even need to do, we really don't even need to do that. We can just return this. Oh my God, we got it. I literally have no idea why TypeScript is doing the things it's doing right now. Sync, record, invariant. Dude, that was the dumbest. That's why TypeScript's type system is so stupid sometimes. Okay. Now this should return a real date. Yeah, look at that. We got a date, chat. Sync record invariant option. We get the option if is none, sync record not found. I guess we can push this up. Oh, damn it. I was trying to be clever. I guess we have to do, this actually has to be effect dot and then, well, no, effect dot map, and then it'll be option dot map. And then maybe we can, if we get x to x here, sync record dot completed. Maybe we can be clever here. Struct dot pick completed at. Aha! Beautiful. That gives us it doesn't quite do what I want. I wish that just picked. Get. Does this return an option? And this will have to be and then. And that should give us a date. Haha. Maybe sync record date dot value. In fact, we can just return this. This doesn't need to throw an error. We can just return that. This is a personal project that I might monetize at some point. So here, we'll say most recent sync date. And really this will be maybe. And this will equal, sorry, Nightshade. I'll take full responsibility for that. So we'll say get most recent sync date. Yep. That looks good. And we got to yield that, yield star. This is going to give us an option, right? And then we'll say if options dot, how do we determine really this needs to be get most recent sync date. We almost don't even need that, right? If updated after expenses, or we'll say updated after is going to equal options dot so if it equals undefined, we'll say we want this here.
Speaks the gospel of the camel.
Otherwise, we'll say
I
options
speak the
dot
gospel of the
updated
dunes.
after,
The sand is in my veins.
and we'll say this is will yield star
Come ride a
this,
camel with me today.
and this will. Thank you for the 7 months of subs. Appreciate you, man. Truly, truly appreciate you. And here we'll say effect dot map, and we'll do option dot get or else. Get or undefined, I guess. And this should give us a date or undefined. Yeah. Yeah. So that works well there. We'll add, let's do a yield star effect dot add tags to current span, or current annotate current span, and we'll say sync dot updated after is going to equal a string of updated after. Does that turn it to undefined? What happens if I do that? If I do foo undefined, yeah, it doesn't retain that. Now what if I do Okay, great. JavaScript quirks. And now we are going to let's write a function to get the expenses. So yeah, we're not going to need to use this get notifications anymore. So we need to go check if our Splitwise client, which is codegen, can we get expenses by group ID? There it is. That's the exact function we need. So in here, we're going to say const splitwise expenses equals yield star splitwise dot get expenses by group ID, and that'll be budget sync account dot splitwise group ID. Yep. And that should give us an array of those. Yeah. Now we have expenses. And this is where we can now parallelize. We want to write a function that is like handle expense or process expense. Let's say process expense. In fact, we also want to do one other thing here. Once we get the budget sync account, we want to create a record. So we'll say const sync record equals db.sync.create record. Yeah, and we'll yield that. Yield star. And we basically want to make, I think we hashed an IDs in here somewhere, didn't we? Did I do that in here? Yeah, right here. So we can do something similar. Let's go ahead and sync record .ts, and we'll export namespace sync record, and in here we'll say get ID, and this will take a sync record in fact, we can just do the same thing. We don't even need to do this. We can do it the same way we did that other hash. we'll come in here and let's make this sync record. Yeah. We'll copy this. And we'll throw it right here. And we'll import it'll basically be created at, a hash of created at, and the budget sync account ID. So let's get rid of this. This will be budget sync account ID and created at. And then we'll get rid of these, budget sync account ID, which is a string, and created at, which is a date. And then down here we'll hash this will be hash string budget sync account ID. And this will be did I miss? Math.absolute. That closes. Oh, we have a outstanding plus. There we go. All right. So that gives us an ID. And now we can, in our budget sync, this should have an ID on it. Nice. We'll add that to the span. Yield star effect dot annotate current span. And in fact, we're going to annotate annotate spans. I would like to, how do I get that? Effect dot with span, and this will be budget sync dot sync v2 for now. And part of my problem here is I need to get this sync record. I can't just yield star annotate spans. I need to like pipe that. I almost need to return another effect, right? Which is annoying. And then in here, I can do like, that's still not a great option. I hate that. Maybe we do it that way. Now that I think about it, that's how I've done it before. Yeah, this is how we'll do it. It's annoying, but it gives us better observability down through the stack. So the reason I'm doing this chat is so I can, we're going to annotate this v2 here, and we're going to throw on here. We're going to say effect.with annotate spans. So what annotate spans does that's different than like adding attributes to the current span is this will add key values to the current span and recursively to all children. So we can come on here and we can say like budget sync dot account dot ID, and then we'll put on this will be budget sync account ID, and we can also do budget sync. We can do sync record dot ID, and then this will be sync record dot ID. That should be in scope. Oh, the pipe's on the wrong thing still. There we go. Yeah. So now everywhere recursively down under this, we don't need to add these because it'll automatically annotate all the children spans with budget sync account ID and sync record. So we can see for every single action that happens down below what sync run it's associated with. Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. And then once we get into here, we can say yield star will start the run.
Functions
Yield star.
describe the world.
We'll do db dot sync dot and we'll say update status. Update status. And this is going to be by ID. Update record status by ID. So this will take a sync record ID, which is a string, and then we'll have some options here, which the options will be budget sync account ID, which will be a string, and then we'll want the status, which is going to be a sync record entity dot entity status. And now when we go implement this, we'll extract out the options here in a minute. We'll take this one, yoink that, paste that there. This will be update sync record status, update sync record status by ID. And this will be sync record ID. This is going to have options. And those options we said are going to have a budget sync account ID on it, which is a string, and then a status, which is the sync record entity status. And we'll come in here and we'll say rather than create, this is going to be, I think I need a patch. Budget sync account ID. I need to find the existing one. We could make this easier. Rather than by ID, we could just pass it a sync record. Yeah, let's do that. Or no, I kind of do like that. So we'll also need to write a get by ID. Const get sync record by ID. See if I can speedrun this.
Functions describe the world.
Oh, we're flying. We want to get oh, we need to like unhash. By ID. And this is going to have PK. Field will be GSI 1 PK, and it'll be a composite of the ID field. And then we'll have SK. Whoa, the of him just crashed. This OCaml looks odd. I know. Sorry, lesbian monad. Thank you. Thank you, Skesh. My keyboard is... Wow, Neovim actually froze. We were going too hard for Neovim. Come on, rotate to the right spot. There we go. Wow, we lost everything that we just did there. That's super annoying. By ID, and this is going to be PK, and this will be field is going to be GSI1 PK, composite is going to be ID, and then it is going to be index.
Functions
This will be GSI1.
the world.
Take that, and then our SK will be field GSI1 SK. Thank you for the follows. Appreciate y'all. I don't think we even need that. All right, so now we have a way to query by ID. And we want to add a ID onto this guy, ID, which will be a schema.string. And this ID is literally just a hash of the budget sync account ID and the created at date. Which we should set that to. So now in here, where were we that I needed to get the sync record? Oh yeah, we were writing the update status or get by ID. Yeah. Sure. Let's comment that out for a quick second. And we'll just do that. And did we lose our function that we were writing? We must have. That's so annoying. All right, so whatever, we'll just rewrite it again. Export const get sync record by ID. Sync. Actually, this should really be we need all of those things. Said find. It'll use the best index, I think. Yeah. All right, so that's still not worth it. We'll go back to query by ID, and we'll say ID sync record ID, and we'll do that dot go, and we'll say if data dot length is greater or actually we'll say const yeah, I guess we do have to check that. Greater than 1, return adders and ops. I'm gonna say ops dot eq adders dot budget sync account ID budget sync. That's like our access control basically for now. And this will be record ID, sync record ID. A legal use of what? Oh, sure. And then we'll take this and we're gonna go make that in our errors. And we'll just copy one of our other duplicate ones. And we'll yoink that. Paste that there, and we'll replace transaction with actually synced transaction with sync record. And this will be record ID, which is a schema.string. And then we return an option here. So from there, we return option dot from nullable data dot at 0, and we go ahead and add our tracing. We'll say effect dot with retry, or retry, excuse me. And we'll do exponential retry on this guy. And then effect dot with span. And this will be and then our attributes will be adders. And we'll add budget sync dot account dot ID, which this will already be added for most of our use cases because it's coming from the sync function using annotate spans, and that gets added recursively. But If we call this out of that, we still want that. So this will be options.budgetSyncAccountID. And then we want sync.record.id. And that will be sync record ID. Yeah. Yeah. And this returns an option. And we can use this down here now in this function. We'll say const maybe, actually we'll say sync record is going to be yield star, and it'll be get sync record by ID. So we'll pass in the sync record ID, and we'll pass through the options, and then we'll pipe this, and we'll say effect.flatten. And what effect.flatten will do is, because this returns an option, it's going to automatically unbox it, but you'll see that this returns a no such element exception, and that's not a very friendly error to return. So we'll come in here and we'll say effect.mapError, and we'll get our cause, and we'll say we're going to return a new error, and it'll be sync record not found. Oh, sweet, we already have a sync record not found. Let's take a budget sync account ID. Oh, we need a second one, huh? Where did we use this before? We don't use it. That's why. Drop that in there. And this is going to take a record ID, which will be a schema.string. Yeah. And this needs options.budgetSyncAccountID. And we want record ID is going to be sync record ID. Actually, we probably want to do catch tag instead. And we'll say no such element exception. Yeah, there we go. We don't need the cause because we know the cause is no such element exception. So in the case that this fails with no such element exception, we're going to map it to sync record not found. And then we have our sync record here. And then we can come down here and we can do an update where we'll patch. And we can literally just pass in our sync record. Can't we? Should be able to. What's this need on it? Oh, it needs the completed at ISO. That's okay. Whatever. We'll do sync record budget sync account ID. This needs a status, which will be the current status. And then we need the completed at ISO, which we have format ISO, and we'll do sync record dot completed at. Sync record dot completed at does not All right, what's this upset about? What did I do wrong here? We closed the record. That's what we need to do. There we go. Type stringer undefined is not. Oh, completed at. Oh, we have the type wrong on that. That's not required. How is that? Should that not be set default? Oh, we don't want a default. I don't understand why this can't be undefined. This should be undefined, right? Required is false. In fact, yeah, we want this, right? What am I doing, chat? What are we listening to? There shouldn't even need to be a get. How is that? This is driving me crazy. I don't understand why this field is coming through as required. Is it because I have it in this? It's got to be because I'm using it in the composite, right? Like if I go... Five. Now it's not required. No, that's not it, Vafi. I think it's because the sort key can't be undefined. Maybe we don't need the completed at. And we can use created as a proxy for that. Yeah, that's just what we'll have to do. And we're gonna wanna, oh man, this is, we'll start here tomorrow. We're gonna have to update how we do this. Update ordering, filtering for completed because we changed the SK to use created at instead of completed at. $86.01. All right, chat. I gotta wrap up. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you everyone for hanging out. Appreciate all of y'all. Let's see how else is going. Golang, game dev, asset manager. This seems kind of cool. Particle systems in effect. Let's do that. All right, chat. Have a lovely Monday. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. And we'll keep cranking on this tomorrow.